All right, let's talk about one of football's true artists, a guy whose story is just as much about one single, heart-wrenching moment of failure as it is about his incredible genius.
That's a quote from the man himself, Roberto Baggio. And he's talking about a moment that, well, it became one of the most famous images in sports history. Just pure anguish, broadcast for the whole world to see.
So that's the big question, right? How does that moment, a moment of total, devastating failure, somehow make this guy a beloved global icon? It's a paradox, and that's what we're going to get into.
To really get it, to understand this paradox of the divine ponytail, we've got to look at the man behind the ponytail and the player behind that infamous penalty miss. So yeah, let's rewind. Let's go all the way back to the beginning, way before the global fame and, before the heartbreak.
And our story really kicks off in Florence. Yeah, the heart of the Renaissance. It's kind of fitting, because a young player was about to show up who played the game like one of the city's old masters.
So Baggio's early life, it was this mix of just incredible promise and, honestly, incredible adversity. He had this knee injury that would have ended most careers, right? It nearly stopped him before he even got started. But it was during that really tough time that he discovered Buddhism, and this faith would become this foundation of resilience for him for the rest of his life. So when he finally gets to Fiorentina, the city of Florence didn't just get another player. No, they got something more. They found a kindred spirit.
And this right here, this is the key to understanding what made Baggio so special. He wasn't just a striker, he wasn't just a midfielder, he was a fantasista, an artist on the pitch. His whole game was about pure imagination, about seeing passes and plays that literally no one else could. And his bond with Florence, it went way beyond football. It was a genuine love affair, which is exactly what made what happened next so shocking.
See, Baggio's artistry came with a price tag, a massive one, and it was about to tear him away from the city that adored him and kick off one of the biggest firestorms in Italian football history. In 1990, the giants of Juventus came calling, and they paid a world record fee for him, 15 billion lire. I mean, it was an astronomical sum of money that his club Fiorentina they couldn't say no to it.
And the fans, they felt completely betrayed. They took to the streets, there were riots, clashes with police, it was chaos. And Baggio himself was devastated by it all. He never, ever wanted to leave. But the deal was done, he was on his way to turn under this massive cloud of controversy and just immense pressure.
So, what do you do with all that pressure on your shoulders? Well, if you're Baggio, you respond with absolute, undeniable brilliance. At Juventus, he hit his peak. He led the team to glory, and in 1993, he was officially crowned the best player on the entire planet. And all of this incredible success, it perfectly set the stage for the one tournament that would come to define his entire life.
Okay, let's go to 1994, the World Cup in the USA. This was the stage for Baggio's greatest triumphs, and also his most profound tragedy.
Italy, you have to remember, started that tournament so badly. They were on the brink of getting knocked out, like multiple times. But Baggio, playing through a hamstring injury, mind you, he single-handedly dragged them forward. He scores 5 goals in the knockout rounds, and each one was more important than the last. He wasn't just Italy's best player, he was their savior. It was a one-man rescue mission, so he basically carried an entire nation's hopes on his injured shoulders all the way to the final against Brazil. And after 120 brutal minutes, it all came down to one single kick.
Just try to imagine the weight of this moment. I mean, the entire World Cup, 4 years of blood, sweat, and tears, the dreams of a whole country. It's all boiled down to this one kick from 12 yards out. If he scores, Italy's still in it. Their dream is alive. If he misses, it's over. Brazil wins. He missed. High over the crossbar. The man who had carried them all the way there, he couldn't take that one final step. And that image of him just standing there, head bowed, hands on his knees, it became this immortal, heartbreaking symbol of what it feels like to lose.
But you know what? The story doesn't end there. Not even close. In fact, what happens next is what really shows you who this man was. It's a story about how you get back up after failing in the most public way imaginable.
After he left Juventus, Baggio became a bit of a journeyman. He had spells at other huge clubs like AC Milan and Inter, sure, but it was really at the smaller clubs, places like Bologna and Brescia, where he seemed to find himself again. Away from all that intense pressure, he just rediscovered his love for the game, leading these more modest teams with a kind of grace and wisdom.
So you have to wonder, how did he carry the weight of that penalty miss? For him, his Buddhist faith was absolutely central. It gave him a way to understand suffering, to process that defeat, and to find a sense of peace with it all. That's where his quiet strength came from. And it was all of these experiences, the incredible highs, the crushing lows, the pain, that really forged his unique legacy.
So when we look back at his career, what is the true legacy of Roberto Baggio? Well, one thing's for sure. It's so much more than just one kick of a football.
I mean, you could look at his trophy cabinet and say, it's impressive, but maybe not as full as some other legends. But that's kind of missing the point, isn't it? Look at his individual awards like the Ballon d'Or. They tell the real story. For a time, he was untouchable, the best in the world. His influence, his cultural stature, it goes way beyond the number of team medals he won.
And this, right here, might be the most powerful statement of them all. Looking back on his career, Baggio said he wouldn't change a thing. Not even the penalty. He gets that the pain was part of the journey, that the failure was just as important as the success in making him who he was. Because in the end, it was his grace in defeat that cemented his legend. And that offers a lesson that goes way beyond sports.
He taught us that greatness isn't about being perfect. It's about artistry, it's about resilience, and maybe most importantly, it's about how you carry yourself when the whole world is watching you fail. So that leaves us with one final thought. What truly defines a legacy? Is it a single moment of failure, or is it a lifetime of grace?